It's Monday, and you know what that means. The Jersey First Television Network proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And certainly, I am the generational talent in Garden State Media and your leader for trustworthy opinion journalism. That's right, folks. It is me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday as we are wrapping up the month of June. Thank the Lord. My least favorite month of the year, because it's just stuff I can't stand. The humidity, the stickiness. I don't know. It's hot. I don't know. It's just uncomfortable. What do you think I was going to say? I don't know. Maybe. But in any event, I want to thank you all for making this a part of your Monday night viewing on this, the 29th of June. Here as we're wrapping up June, really the halfway point of the year here in 2026. My goodness, the days and weeks are flying by here, and we're always bringing you the best analysis and commentary about everything going on in New Jersey politics and more. You can always rely on Real Talk here as we celebrate 6 years on the air, right behind me there, folks. And I could not have done that without all of you and your tremendous support throughout all of these past 6 years. As always, it takes a few seconds. Again, like, comment, and share tonight's show. And of course, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and X, and don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. And of course, download Jersey First, on whether you listen to Spotify or SoundCloud. And of course, wherever you listen to your podcasts, take us anywhere at any time. Brand new episodes of Real Talk premiere every Monday. Of course, check your listings for start times. And of course, brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap also air every week via the Jersey First Television Network. Of course, always educating and advocating for the residents here in the great state of New Jersey. That's right, folks. As you can see here with me, I'm still rocking the orange and blue here. It's New York versus everybody. It's New York or nowhere. It's a New York Knicks summer here on Real Talk. I'm still celebrating. I'm still euphoric after the Knicks' historic third NBA championship, the first time in 53 years. So I don't know about you, folks. It's the summer of the Knicks here on Jersey First. And of course, for all of us New York Knicks fans in the New Jersey, New York tri-state area. Folks, you want to stick around for final thoughts? I have a lot to say about the usual bad actors here in New Jersey, whether it's, establishment media, whether it's academics, whether it's elected officials, activists, government workers, you name it, folks. There's no shortage of bad actors in New Jersey. And of course, it is budget season at the state level, but also at the local level. Why not talk about some of the clowns who somehow are outraged about tax increases that, they've been a part of. So, of course, we'll think about Joe Quintero, the kind of, bum-ass councilman in Hoboken. Kind of interesting for him to wear a Columbia shirt. I mean, this retard couldn't name 3 guys in the national team, much less, rock a shirt like that. So I disown that guy, being half Colombian myself. But we'll talk about him, of course, and the other useless fool on the Hoboken City Council. Yep, that's right. You see him right there, Mr. Photogenic, all handsome himself, Bill Cohen. And of course, folks, it's interesting when they're outraged about, the budget is higher and we have to increase taxes because, residents, we have to do what we have to do. Well, for the last few years, the reason Hoboken's unaffordable is because of people like Bill Cohen and Joe Quintero. Well, I'll tell you the truth about these two useless fools later on during Final Thoughts. Of course, I'll also talk about the Jersey City budget, which is also in the news, in the headlines, and of course on our news feeds. And shout out to the Hudson County Chronicles, who, of course, is always right there, right beneath the surface, talking about everything that's going on in local politics. We'll talk about these crazy budgets here in Hudson County. And of course, we'll talk about state budgets in just a moment. And also, ladies and gentlemen, during the month of June, I've been very consistent. For me, June is National Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And as you know, my dear friend, David Quisenbing, otherwise known affectionately as DQ, lost his life after a battle with depression and mental health last month. And I've dedicated the entire month of June to reminding everybody about the importance of men's mental health, not just during the month of June, but every single day in David's honor, and as well as a reminder that it's important to look out for all of our friends out there. If you or someone needs help, there are plenty of resources available out there for you. More on that later on during a special comment about Men's National Mental Health Awareness Month. Folks, again, I can't say enough. Yes, we also lost Avicii, obviously some years ago due to men's mental health. And again, whether it's him, David Quisenbing, or anyone that's struggling with men's mental health, again, make sure you remind them how much you love them, that they need to stay here, they need to be here, we need to be here for them. And remind everyone that men's mental health is a real epidemic in this country. We're losing men at a just alarming rate. Let's make sure we reduce those numbers and help our men, again, be men, stay men, and more importantly, to stay here with us. More on that, ladies and gentlemen, again, during a special comment for sure. Again, celebrating 6 years here on the air, folks. And the reason this show continues to be a success is because we talk to the big guests, which is why we get the big numbers and the big traffic. But of course, folks, it's the guests that matter. The guests have insight and the guests who are in the know. And well, when we talk about who's in the know, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it's hard to argue that this young lady isn't in the know. She is an incredible political commentator, an influencer, and quite frankly, one of my favorite conservatives in New Jersey politics, folks. She is Kaity-Defender of The Republic, and she joins us live right now here on Real Talk.
Hi, Fernando. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to finally be here.
I appreciate you, and I know you're very busy. I mean, you're doing big time shows. You're doing Alex Jones. You're doing other big time shows, and I appreciate you joining us here on Jersey First TV. I've been a fan of you for quite some time. But like a lot of heroes, though, Kaity, I mean, obviously there's an origin story, right? Superman came from Krypton. Bruce Wayne was shaped by tragedy at an early age. Every superhero has an origin story. So how did the Defender of the Republic come about?
Well, I got to tell you, like most people, we don't grow up saying, oh, I want to be in politics. I want to get involved in politics. No, it comes from, things that are happening in the world. And right when the COVID pandemic hit, that is when people really started looking at politics. And, during President Trump's first term is really when people started to talk about politics more with their friends at work, where it's taboo to talk about. People just wanted to talk about it more. So during that time frame, during the presidential election of 2020, my friends started to ask me and say, hey, who are you voting for in this election? And when I told them it was Trump, you would have thought that I was telling them I was going to murder their puppies. But I grew up in Jersey City, so it's a melting pot there. And it's one of those things, growing up as a Latina there, it was almost like you grew up thinking, okay, I must be a Democrat, right? But once I started to look at the policies and the things that were happening in the world, and I told my friends that I was voting for Donald Trump, I realized the media narratives were stealing my friends away from me. The media narratives were hurting people where they weren't understanding the truth about what is happening in the world, how politics works, how politicians use this. And I think you mentioned this in your show the other day, performative outrage is what really, really is starting to hurt the public, because it is leading to a lot of detriment that they are having on their own. So I started to make videos about the truth of what people weren't understanding, and those videos went viral. And I saw that there was this need in the world that people needed to understand how things work, how the systems work, how Congress works. So all of these things were what I took on. I made that my public persona to help educate the public. And that's how the Defender of the Republic was born.
And she's still going strong today. I got to say, great following. And obviously you're everywhere. I had the chance to see you over the weekend down all the way in Camden County.
Yes.
At the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women. They elected a new executive board. And certainly, again, shout out to the new president, Shirley Maya Cusick, for her election there. And she's very energetic. And, she's really enthusiastic about getting women involved in politics in New Jersey, especially Republican women who have kind of been quiet for some time, right? And unfortunately, in a state like New Jersey, where, Democrats outnumber us by almost maybe, 1 million plus registered voters. I mean, even that's a little, dubious. I mean, that's a number I'm a little, willing to punch back on. But it was great to be in that room yesterday. Again, a shout out to the Burlington County Federated Republican Women for the invitation for me yesterday. I appreciate that. But also, too, just so much energy in the room, so many elected officials. I got to talk to State Senator Mike Testa, but I also got to talk to some candidates. And let's get right to that. Obviously, one of your recent posts on X involved the Republican senatorial candidate here in New Jersey, Justin Murphy. Right. And he has the dubious task of taking on Spartacus. You want to talk about the king of performative politics. I mean, it's Cory Booker, my God. I mean, it's this is a guy who lives for the performance, a guy who loves to sort of live in the theatrics. And, it was interesting when Justin won on primary night, Kaity, I was a little surprised. I mean, I had talked to some other candidates during the cycle, interviewed them on the show, and it seemed like the establishment Republican Party in New Jersey was kind of firmly behind former journalist Alex Sedan. Obviously, Rich Tabor obviously was getting a lot of momentum, but Justin, with not as much money, not as much outreach, was able to win pretty decisively on primary night just a few weeks ago. I mean, in your opinion, what led to Justin winning in such a surprise fashion?
It is super interesting to watch because Justin Murphy had almost no money in this campaign. And the difference that people don't realize and why I think Justin won, and I will tell you, I attended events for multiple candidates. So I wanted to get to know who these people were. And I refused to outright say who to vote for. I didn't want people to be swayed by my opinion in a primary. But Justin went and met people where they were. And I think that is something that people miss. You don't need a lot of money to win elections, although you do need money in a general. But in a primary, when you go out and you meet with people and you talk to them about what it is that they're dealing with, the issues that they're faced with, that their families are faced with, and the plan that you have to help them, that is really what matters. And over the years, I think we've had like 17 years of Cory Booker at this point. I mean, Cory Booker has, if you look at his history and what he has done and not done for this state, he does a lot of posturing. And New Jersey voters are tired of this posturing. I think they just need to show up for him. And what I've seen in New Jersey that it bothers me in terms of what people are not doing is showing up at the polls. Our numbers at the polls are almost embarrassing. So if we can get people to show their frustration at the ballot box, that is going to make the difference. And we have a great candidate in Justin Murphy. This man has put together an amazing plan of the things he wants to do to help turn this state around, what he can do in Congress for New Jersey and represent the people of the state, because most of the voters don't have representation. When we have a fully Democrat leadership in this state, it does not represent a majority of the people here. So we really do need a candidate like Justin Murphy to represent us in Congress.
And he's certainly interesting in that, I mean, listen, this is as clean cut a guy as I've ever met. Attorney, member of the service, obviously a former elected official. I mean, the guy is clean cut. I mean, honestly, I always tell him every time I run into him, I'm super jealous. He has like the best head of hair on a man I've seen since like Mitt Romney back in like, the 2012 days, right? And, he's so down to earth and easy to get along with. And again, what's interesting about this race, and again, the reason I wear this shirt is the last time that New Jersey elected a Republican to the United States Senate. I mean, again, that was the Knicks' last NBA championship in 1972, 73.
It's incredible.
So it's crazy. That's how long it's been since New Jersey has elected a Republican to represent us in the U.S. Senate. Now, again, Kaity, maybe you'll take the high road here. I mean, I've not done that on this show, and I had Christine Hanlon, the new chair of the NJGOP, on a few months ago. She has a really difficult task, obviously. What happened last November, I mean, Republicans took a shellacking, not just losing the governor's race for the third straight year, but at the same time, losing assembly seats. And I don't want to relitigate what happened last year, but, at this time last summer, I mean, Democrats were very concerned after 8 years of Phil Murphy, the emperor, after awful COVID mandates, after the way this budget got bigger than Chris Christie's waistline. I mean, I was concerned, right? And, I looked at Jack Ciattarelli as, and again, hopefully you'll appreciate the sports term. I gave Jack a puncher's chance and a real chance to win by, it was going to be close, 2 or 3 points, I thought, because obviously Democrats outnumber registered Republicans. And I said, well, it's really going to be up to independents to get Jack across the finish line. And going into the summer, going into Labor Day, you felt good. I was at Rider University last September during the first debate that was hosted by the New Jersey Globe and Rider, along with NJ on NJ. And I said, wow, I mean, Jack has a real chance to win here. And then, October 1st came around, Columbus Day, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, whatever. The state, the government shut down federally, and Democrats weaponized SNAP, all the optics about, oh my God, look what Republicans are doing. They're taking food away from poor people and all these, all these baby mamas with 6 kids from 6 different daddies, and, the usual bullshit. And something happened where Mikey Sherrill ran with that narrative, and it turned into almost like a 15-point win. And going into this year, Republicans have kind of been on the rebound. They elected a new chair. Obviously, she has a really dubious task of raising money for candidates that are running, not just from Justin himself, but other House races. She has to try to help local races as well. I mean, again, she has a tough task ahead of her, but what can the NJGOP do better in your eyes to help candidates like Justin Murphy, like other House candidates like Hillary Hersig in CD6, or Michael McGuire in CD3, or Rosemary Pino in CD9? What do you think the NJGOP should be doing or could do better, Kaity?
So many things. I mean, we cannot do politics as usual with the NJGOP, and we do have an opportunity for a fresh start. I will tell you, we are starting way behind. The NJGOP has to raise a ton of money in order to even have a shot at beating the Democrats. But another problem is we have a unity problem when it comes to the Republican Party there. And I will tell you, I've seen this myself. I've been involved on the grassroots level across the state. There are going to be people within the Republican Party who are here just to cause friction. There are people who claim to be conservatives that are just people that want to cause problems. And that is the issue we're facing. And we cannot give those people a platform when we're trying to unify the state and win races, because at the end of the day, this is a very, very crucial time. The taxes continue to be raised. The last time we actually even attempted to lower taxes was when we had a Republican governor. So, I mean, it is a very major problem in terms of getting people to work together, getting people to spend a lot of time doing everything they need to do. The NJGOP should be represented every time these people running as candidates have an event, a race or something. They need to market it better. They need to be there. They need to show up for them. And I'm still not seeing it. I've personally gone to many NJGOP events. I've spoken with the people at the NJGOP. I've offered my help for free. Hey, I will volunteer and help you. My phone still hasn't rang. Nobody's called me and said, hey, can you help us with this? So they just have to know that there are resources out there and get involved and work together.
And it's frustrating to me because, and folks, if you're just joining us live right now, again, it takes 5 seconds. Like, comment, and share today's episode as Kaity-Defender of the Republic, our superhero here in New Jersey, joins us on Real Talk. Again, folks, helps the show grow. It really helps show your support for fearless independent media here with Jersey First TV. And it's interesting because, Democrats are still running on this affordability platform, which is crazy because the reason New Jersey's unaffordable is because of Democrats. And obviously, as we're talking today, Kaity, the state budget has not yet been ratified. And under state law, under the New Jersey Constitution, by really 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, June 30th, a budget has to be signed. Otherwise, the state will enter a shutdown, as it has on a couple of occasions, 2006 with John Corzine and 2017 with Chris Christie. Now, in recent years under Phil Murphy, it's been right up to the finish line, right up to the buzzer. A budget got, passed at like the 11th hour, as they say, right as the shot clock went down to zero. That seems to be the case again this year with the new governor. For someone like Mikey Sherrill, who ran on freezing energy rates, which freezing doesn't do anything. You have to try to reduce them.
Exactly.
What we're hearing on this budget, quite frankly, is, seniors, Meals on Wheels getting cut. But it's okay. Illegals will get money for, legal representation in court. And it just seems like the Democrats, whether they're in Trenton or running in the cycle, though, Kaity, they're running on like, well, I want to make New Jersey more affordable. But the problem is that the Democrat Party, whether it's in Trenton for over 25 years or on a federal level, have had zero interest in reducing anything when it comes to taxes, costs. And it just seems like the vote blue, no matter who crowd eats this bullshit up year after year. And it's frustrating.
That's the problem. We have very emotional voters who are listening to what they say and not what they do. And that's why I always encourage people to look into these things. I actually made a post on X today about this budget and some of the things that these people in our government are doing with our taxpayer dollars that people aren't aware of. And these are the types of issues that we need to sound the alarm on very widely. So I will read off some of the names of what they're doing. So there's an Assemblyman, William Sampson, who's a Democrat, who got $200,000 for his aunt's foundation. It's called Mohair Foundation, which is 4 times what their actual revenue usually is. And so they're doing it just to pay off their family. So Senator McKnight, who's also a Democrat, funneled $2 million to Rising Tide Capital, which is a nonprofit that pays her part-time. Because as you know, some of these legislators have jobs outside of what they do in government. Speaker Coughlin, also a Democrat, directed $16.7 million to Essex County projects. And he just so happens to work with Essex County with his law firm. And then Renee Burgess, who pushed millions more for the Essex County Golf Course, which she's on the county payroll for. And then there's another assemblyman, Annette Quijano, who secured $9 million for Elizabeth water pipes, and she is the city's municipal prosecutor. So there are a lot of ways to find what they're actually doing, because what they say and what they do are two different things. So I think if the public scrutinizes them more, because they're not going to audit or investigate themselves, then these people will not be able to get away with all of the things they've been doing to our detriment, that is hurting us with our dollars.
And coincidentally, some of the assembly people you mentioned, Sampson and McKnight, unfortunately are here in Hudson County in the 31st legislative district. And for our fans here on the show that are not familiar, that consists of the entire city of Bayonne, the entire south side of Jersey City, as well as the municipalities of Kearney, Harrison, and East Newark. So, I mean, again, you want to talk about, and it's interesting where Democrats and the left and progressives kind of talk about, well, Republicans are dishonest and Republicans are crooks and corrupt. Well, not in New Jersey, because let's be honest, I mean, Republicans have had majorities in Trenton for over 25 years. So when it comes to budget season, people like that can just sort of fill up the budget with these little pet projects. And to your point, helping out family members, which is ridiculously corrupt. And I mean, you want to talk about a conflict of interest. It's crazy to me. And again, we'll see what the final number is coming up. But, a lot of people were speculating that Governor Sherrill, like Governor Murphy during his first term, with then Senate President Steve Sweeney and Speaker Vincent Prieto, was going to have some trouble. They were going to try to they're probably going to butt heads, obviously, on the first budget. You saw that a little bit between Scutari, Coughlin, and Sherrill, but it seems like Sherrill's going to get her way, Scutari's going to get his way, and so is Coughlin, as you just detailed. But I think at the end of the day, also, it's frustrating too, again, because the vote blue no matter who crowd is just so oblivious. Again, I'm one of these conservatives, Kaity, and I'm sure maybe you run into this, where I've lost numerous friendships and my rapport has really dissolved with people that either I grew up with or have gotten to know because of my politics, because of my conservative brand. But every time that we try to have rational discussions, I just come out with facts and say, listen, I'm not getting emotional here, calm down. Mm-hmm. But it just seems like today's Democrat Party, whether it's in New Jersey, and we're seeing it during these House races, which I really want to get your thoughts on in a moment. It just seems like today's modern Democrat Party is either just overly emotional, they're sort of fixated on performative politics. And also, too, I mean, there's a scary thought. Listen, I live right across, I look at Manhattan every day, and I think about what's going on across the river in the greatest city in the world, and we're seeing the Democrat Party elect socialists. Outright socialists. We're seeing it here in New Jersey. We're also seeing, to some extent, whether it's the election of socialists like Lydia Mejia in the 11th Congressional District, or, let's be fair, jihadi sympathizers in CD12 like Adam Hamway. I mean, folks, just Google Linda Sarsour. That's all you have to do. And when Linda Sarsour is at your watch party, Kaity, I don't know about you, that should be a red flag to everybody. But again, it just seems like the Democrat Party is moving so far left, it almost seems irreparable now. Is that fair to say?
Well, I will hope that, I'll tell you this. So Democrats have used Trump's presidency for the last 12 years to use that as a platform. They have used the emotional state of their voters to say, Trump bad, he's a monster, you need to hate him. What happens when Trump is no longer in office? Because the Democrats are going to look back and say, what did we do? Because the Democratic Socialists are the ones that are running the Democratic Party. And that is why a lot of Democrats, and I've seen it here in New Jersey, have said, wait a minute, this isn't the party that I recognize. These aren't Kennedy Democrats. This is something completely different. This is communism. This is Marxism. And they're projecting the things that they're actually doing onto everyone else. And eventually the voters are going to get tired of it. And I've seen more and more of it. There are a lot of organizations that exist to help people through this, right? Like a friend of mine, Brandon Straka, has the Walkaway campaign, which is something that I ran to because I said I used to be a Democrat. And when I saw what was happening with the Democratic Party, I said, this is nothing I believe in. There's no common sense left there. The things that they are doing, and as a mother, seeing what they're doing with children and the bills that they're trying to pass here in New Jersey, there's one that's going to that they're looking to pass on Tuesday, saying that, you know, if your child wants to come to New Jersey to have a sex change, you can't stop them from doing that. And it's insane. It's insane.
It really is. I mean, it's not only just a sanctuary state for illegals, it's a sanctuary state to encourage, let's be honest, mental illness. That's what that ideology is when it comes to the trans community. It's that simple. It's really alarming.
And Democrats claim to be the humanitarians.
Yeah, and they're also the party of women, but if you ask half of them what a woman is, they can't give you the definition. It's kind of interesting. Let's switch gears here to some of these House races. Kaity, I really want to get your thoughts on this. And you know, listen, up here by me in the 8th Congressional District, it's as blue as Windex. The Democrat incumbent, Rob Menendez, won a very feisty primary against a former mayoral and Board of Ed president in Jersey City here in Hudson County. He does not have a Republican challenger. And in fairness, like, I know Rob personally, we're friends. And, you know, I grew up knowing his dad. He knows my family. So, you know, I try to be kind all the time about his dad. It's an unfortunate situation. But, you know, Rob, as much as he and I disagree on policy and a lot of different, you know, some ideological divide that we have. I mean, he you know, he goes to work to Washington. He brings back money. I don't like some of the political stands that he's taken lately. And I've told him so. Like, again, the performative bullshit at Delaney Hall, I don't like it. I don't like this. I'm not saying he's guilty of it specifically, but it seems like whether it's academia, Kaity, pop culture, you name it, it seems like elements of the Democrat Party are deputizing people, okay, to go and be confrontational with law enforcement. We saw it from the first Trump term. We've seen it at the beginning of the second Trump term, whether it's in Minneapolis, whether it's in LA, you name it. And now in front of Delaney Hall, you know, colleagues of Rob Menendez, like LaMonica MacGyver, and again, congrats to her, you know, being pregnant and having a baby. I mean, poor dad, but I mean, whatever. You know, in what world can we make sense of the fact that, and listen, LaMonica MacGyver's a big girl. I'm not trying to be mean, but, you know, her just breathing on a guy is probably going to knock him down. In what world do you think that confronting a federal agent and blatantly pushing them, blatantly, you know, shoving them, okay, does not warrant some jail time? I mean, if that was you or me in any capacity, in any conversation with law enforcement, a state trooper, municipal police officer, federal agent, we would be incarcerated. So the idea that colleagues like LaMonica MacGyver, others, you know, feel that they feel almost emboldened to be in the face of law enforcement. And that almost seems to be like today's modern Democrat Party, like, don't care about law and order, don't care about protecting citizens, and sort of just defending lawlessness at all turns. And when I say that, people get very triggered. I'm like, but where am I wrong?
Well, it's funny because the no kings crowd, the people who say they don't want a king, will look at what LaMonica MacGyver did and not say, hey, wait, if I did that, I would get arrested. She is the type of king mentality that they are fighting. And that's what I mean with the common sense problem that we have, is that people aren't using real world common sense to say, wait a minute, these people are giving us a big line of BS because they're using it because that's what gives them clicks. And as much as they speak poorly about influencers and things like that, that's what they're trying to use. They're trying to go out there and have this big circus so that they can get their voters energized and say, yeah, I want to fight police too. It's insane. And so that's where, again, I think we have to encourage people to say, at the end of the day, what is it that matters to you in this state, and which leaders are going to help us get there? And, you know, they're almost beating us into political exhaustion. And again, I will say this a million times over. We are not showing up at the ballot box, and they are taking advantage of it. So they will put in whatever policies and people in place that they want because they know that people that are exhausted politically just don't show up.
Yeah, and they won't fight back. I mean, one thing is social media and the bitching and moaning that we can do, and that's fine. That's what it's used for. But we have to come out in numbers, as you said, at the ballot box and also at their offices and demand some change. As I mentioned, those two incumbents don't have any challengers coming up in November. But nearby in the 9th Congressional District, Nellie Poe does have a Republican challenger, Rosemary Pino, who survived a very highly contested race there against Tiffany Burris, accomplished attorney and wife of former New York Giant Plaxico Burris. Tight race there. I think it was like 2 or 3 points. How do you see CD9 for someone like Nellie Poe, who, again, very vanilla? I mean, myself has more personality than Nellie Poe. But, again, she's kind of following the script, goes to Delaney Hall, the manufactured outrage, the performative politics. And just 2 years ago, President Trump won Passaic County and almost came within, 3 points of winning New Jersey's 14 electoral votes, which, by the way, has not been done since George H.W. Bush in 1988. How do you see CD9 and Rosemary's chances?
So I will tell you, a lot of people don't like talking about election fraud. And I think it is a problem that we have learned through the media, through Democrat narrative talking points, to not understand that fraud has existed in elections since elections have existed. And that is just how it works, is when power is to be had, there will be fraud, and there will be ways that people will do anything that they can do to get it. So I've followed CD9 for a very long time. My friend Billy Prempa ran there and he almost won. And the problem is the incumbent who passed away, when Nellie Poe took over, when she won, supposedly won, nobody knew who she was. If you ever heard Nellie Poe speak, it was comical. It was almost like, what is this woman talking about? She had no talking points. She didn't stand for anything. She actually did a video recently with Frank Pallone, where she had said one sentence in the video and it was cropped. Like, she couldn't get out one sentence in one take. It was unbelievable. And so this is the woman that the Democrats put out because they knew with fraud that whoever they put there was going to win. And so what I would tell people who live in CD9 or care about CD9 is to get involved, because there are so many ways that they influence these elections. There are groups of people that go out and collect ballots. We know about this because there have been cases that were tried in court about it, where people are dumping ballots. And again, that's why I will talk about the SAVE Act. SAVE Act is so important. 80% of Americans want the SAVE Act passed because we want to actually be the ones that are influencing our elections. Our voice, and people are, tired and saying, I can't vote in elections because it doesn't matter. It does matter. And what we have to do is just, again, show up and be there involved, watching everything that is happening throughout the entire campaign.
And what's interesting about that district is that just 2 years ago, I mean, obviously Billy Prempe had 3 cycles where he was very adamant, really chipped away at, the control that Bill Pascrell had in that district. And, again, after Bill Pascrell passed away, obviously Nellie Poe was, let's be honest, I mean, not even elected. She was selected in there. And again, it's what drives me crazy about the NJGOP or even the national RNC, because had they just dumped even just $1 million into that race, they could have won that seat. And, unfortunately now she's a first-term incumbent, horrible voting record, as you mentioned, is very vanilla on camera, has zero personality. And, of course, her doing a video with Frank Pallone, another charisma vacuum, is demoralizing, because, Rosemary Pino has a real chance there, but she's going to have to motivate independents to get out and vote for her, among also Republicans. It just seems like Democrats in that district, again, the vote blue no matter who crowd, I don't want to simplify this, but you said it perfectly. Trump derangement syndrome is real. It just seems like everything in your life sucks because of Donald Trump. And to be fair, when you have the highest property taxes in the country, when the gas tax went up again, when tolls went up on the Parkway and Turnpike again, that has nothing to do with Donald Trump. That has to do with the Democrat Party in New Jersey that's been enabled by awful policies. And it just seems like, candidates like Rosemary and others I'm just about to mention are kind of finding this really tough battle when it comes to this election cycle and the messaging. Another example, for example, is also in CD11, where socialists and Olivia Mejia won a special election there after Governor Sherrill obviously renounced her seat after winning the governor's seat last November. And, Joe Hathaway, who I interviewed on this show a few months back, leading up to the special election, good guy, great mayor, has executive experience. Came up short during the special election, but between now and November, Kaity, and Lily's going to have a record, and her record is going to Delaney Hall, the performative politics. And again, I can say this because I'm brown, but like when I think of when I think of a profile of the insufferable Latina, like I think of Annalena Mejia, like acts oppressed, but lives in a really nice house. I think married a white guy. Fine, God bless you. God bless you. But you got money. And so this performative bullshit by people like Annalena Mejia, who's, Latina, proud Latina, great. But like, there's nothing oppressed about your upbringing. There's nothing oppressed about how you are right now. And she's pushing these DSA talking points, almost blatantly anti-Semitic, right? And it seems like Joe Hathaway also has a puncher's chance going into November. But again, registration, outreach, people got to get out there, mobilize, and get out there and vote for Joe. Does Joe have a good chance in November to unseat her?
I hope so. Watching his campaign, he's been out there, whether it's in person, on social media, and he's, again, common sense platform. He's not just a far right wing candidate. He is talking to Democrats and independents as much as he's talking to Republicans. So at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the voters to check out the difference between a Joe Hathaway and a Mejia. I think that, she's very obvious about how extreme she is on the left. And, it's almost like a very socialist ideology that she's pushing, and people, and again, people don't understand the incentives that are involved in politics. There are so many organizations that receive taxpayer money, our money, going to these groups that are pushing these socialist talking points that are funding Mejia. And it's all about incentive. So again, if we really care about the citizens of this state and the taxpayers and our families and where our money is going, that is the part that people need to understand, is that they are being incentivized to say these things and then to crush us as the people that live here. So we have to be smarter, more informed voters. And I actually wanted to, if it's okay with you, to talk about this post that I put out recently about the history of governors in the state of New Jersey. So I was looking back at how we had this tax problem formed. And people really don't understand is that we didn't have a state income tax back in the 70s, before the 70s. Correct. So in 1976, we got this state income tax because Governor Brendan Byrne was the one that pushed it. And he said it was necessary to fund public education, which I understand, and to give us property tax relief. But all of these programs that start with like, we're going to do this to help you, we're going to tax the rich. All of these types of programs never stay that way. They always end up hurting us in the end. So after, 50 years, we now see what has happened. I will read off the list of governors that have done this since 1976. So Jim Florio, also a Democrat, he enacted one of the largest tax increases in state history. John Corzine increased taxes. He's also a Democrat. And we know what happened with Phil Murphy. In between there, we had Christy Todd Whitman, who was the only governor that actually brought taxes down, who was a Republican. And then you had Chris Christie, who fought to lower taxes. But again, he was met with pushback from the legislative branch. So again, if you're looking at the history of what the Democrat Party has done and what the Republican Party has done in our state, and you are an informed voter and you want our state to move in the right direction, that alone will tell you which way we should be voting.
Oh, absolutely. And it's mind-boggling again to me, where I have a lot of Democrat friends, whether they're like, centrist Democrats, like blue-collar Democrats or progressives or DSA members who are just talking about affordability. I'm like, you don't have a leg to stand on. You're supporting a party that has continued to make New Jersey unaffordable. I don't have the numbers in front of me, Kaity. I'm sure maybe you know them better than I do, but the mass migration out of here to states like Florida and Tennessee and Texas and Georgia, where it's just a better climate for businesses. It's better for property taxes. I mean, no state income tax in some cases. But here in New Jersey, again, it's almost like we keep taxing people. And it's almost like this sadomasochistic political ideology here when it comes to residents, where you keep electing people like this and they'll continue to just reach into your pockets. It's really, really startling.
There's actually something people can look up called WARN. It's WARN, where companies in the state of New Jersey have to put in the data about mass layoffs that are happening within the state. If you look at those numbers, New Jersey companies, because people are leaving New Jersey, because New Jersey is so unaffordable, are laying off a ton of residents in New Jersey. And people have to look at that. And I know it's hurting them. I know people are feeling it. And what's even worse is that New Jersey is bringing in H-1B visa holders to fill those jobs. So now New Jersey residents are going to be hurting even more. And again, these are Democrat policies that are forcing these things upon us and that are hurting us.
And it's, again, Democrats have never met a tax that they don't love, right? It's crazy. Sticking with the congressional races nearby in CD7, arguably the most watched race in New Jersey come up this cycle. Tom Kean Jr., the incumbent, obviously experiencing some health problems. He's assured his constituents and the public that he'll be back in Washington voting. Apparently, a New York Times writer went to his house and knocked on his door. And apparently the running joke now is he answered the door in a suit and tie, which is interesting. I tend to be in my Dallas Cowboys pajamas when I answer the door, but that's me. But regardless, the script against him is now being led by a former helicopter pilot, suburban mom, where we heard this bullshit before, in Rebecca Bennett. Now, during this primary, it seemed like Rebecca was running more towards the center because a lot of the other primary candidates in the Democrat Party were very progressive, very left of her. And she, I think, ran more towards the middle, and that's what got her across the finish line. Having said that, now she seems to be reverting back to her ultra-progressive ways. And that's a race where, again, just 2 years ago, Tom Kean had a big challenge from left-wing radical Sue Altman, and he beat her by 5 points. That might not be easy this time. Again, now there's, I think, more than 125,000 registered Republicans in that district, so Tom Kean could still have a little bit of an advantage. But what are you seeing in this race between Bennett and Kean? And quite frankly, with all the questions surrounding Tom Kean, Kaity, do you think Tom can get across the finish line again?
I can tell you this. I live in NJ7, and I am seeing the infiltration of socialism and Democrat talking points that are all over. It's happening in the school districts. It is happening in local government. And we're losing seats all over. And that is going to make this race really, really difficult. I've personally had my issues with Tom Kean over some of his votes, but of course I have, because I hold my leadership accountable, whether they have an R or a D next to their name. I'm always going to do that. But I will tell you, as much as I have been hard on Tom Kean, people that go to his office for help and have worked with Tom Kean love him, because he has showed up for us and he has been there for the people of NJ7. And so I'm hoping those people remember that. I'm hoping those people talk about it. And one of the problems Tom Kean's office has had is they don't brag about the great things that he actually has done as a congressman. And the problem that we have with Rebecca Bennett is, we're getting the same song and dance that we got by Mikey Sherrill, whose name also happens to be Rebecca. These two are the same thing. Like, they're not from New Jersey. They're both helicopter pilots. They both claim to be, moms who care. But then you see the same thing that happened with Mikey Sherrill. She talked this big game. She got into office, and then she's already destroying the state, which is exactly what Rebecca Bennett would do. But people have short memories and they forget, they're going to sell us this song and dance and do something totally different in office. And that is what Rebecca Bennett would do. So I hope people remember that.
I agree. Moving a little bit south in CD12, Kaity, almost a WWE Royal Rumble format where I think it was 15 people in that race, and getting across the finish line when the dust settled and the smoke cleared was far left radical Adam Hamaway, serviceman. Again, I applaud him for that, but some questionable ties to people. And again, for someone like me who lives just a block away looking at the skyline of New York, I grew up seeing a very different skyline 25 years ago. And as we approach the 25th anniversary, unfortunately, of the 9/11 attacks by Islamic extremists, it was scary. And I'm not even saying this because it's not even meant to be racist, but you're watching this victory celebration the night that Hamaway won the primary. You have radicals like Linda Sarsour. And again, folks, Google Linda Sarsour. and you will see how much of a concern that should bring to you. And it should give you a moment of pause because of how radical she is. And you're seeing this rally, everyone's screaming Allah Akbar and just like crazy theatrics there. I mean, this is a guy who has yet to answer for some questionable ties and associations. And again, the reason I go after the establishment media, or what's left of it, Kaity, here in New Jersey, is that for months, there should have been articles every single day questioning this guy's ties to a sheikh that was behind or associated with the mastermind of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. I mean, how do you not know you're working at a nonprofit? Really? You don't know Al-Qaeda's funding this? It's
there were so many things
how radical, and the anti-Semitism in the campaign is radical. The supporters are radical. How does someone like Adam Hamaway win? It's mind-boggling to me.
I think the problem that people are having is we're having a lot of religious conversations that are causing this massive situation where people aren't even thinking logically. They're saying, oh, I hate the Jews, I hate Islam. It shouldn't be about that. I have Jewish friends, I have Muslim friends. At the end of the day, Adam was involved with terrorism. He was closely tied to this sheikh who was the architect of the 93 bombing. People who voted for him, people that are in CD12 need to ask him those questions and hold him accountable to it. And they need to talk to Greg Mealy, who's running against him, and find out, hey, which candidate would represent me better? Which one would do great for my area in Congress? And again, we have to forget about the D and the R. We have to bring back common sense. If Adam gets elected in that seat, we are in major trouble.
Absolutely. And again, I think it's a viable question to ask. If he does win that race, I'd be concerned about a member of the House of Representatives like him getting security clearance. That's a concern. That's not.
There's no way he would be able to get a security clearance.
No.
And that's the problem. And that's why I think this is a bigger issue than just the CD in CD12. I think more people need to talk about this and ensure that he can't get into Congress.
Absolutely. Just a little further south, CD6, Hillary Hersig, military wife, military mom, got to interview her a few months back. Again, she's going up against, you want to talk about the prototypical career politician, that's the charisma vacuum, Frank Pallone, who, again, is as big a corporate Democrat as you will see in New Jersey. Any thoughts on that race? And does Hillary have a real chance there?
I love Hillary. I've met her. She's wonderful. And again, going back to that no kings mentality, right? These Democrats don't want kings, but you got Frank Pallone. That's the guy you want. That's the king if I ever saw one. So, I mean, what has Frank done other than, pushing these narratives and propaganda and appeasing to the emotional state? Like, he's one of these politicians that gives people turkeys on Thanksgiving and thinks that his job is done, and that is what people need to remember. And I will tell you this, and not to kind of take away from what we were talking about there, I want to hold Republicans accountable too. I think that we need to do more grassroots involvement. We need to be at more community types of events. And, Frank Pallone will show up at these events, but then he will do things to benefit himself. And so, people know him by name. They don't know Hillary because she's a newcomer. But at the end of the day, look at what Frank has and hasn't done, what he's promised and what he's actually done for you guys. So I think she does have a chance if people rally around her. They give her that name recognition. They talk to people, knock on doors, and make calls for her.
Absolutely. Nearby in CD3, I had the chance to moderate a debate during that primary season between Michael McGuire and Jason Cullen. Michael McGuire won pretty decisively in CD3. And I would argue, Kaity, that of the 9 incumbent Democrats in New Jersey in the House caucus, I would argue that Herb Conway is perhaps the most vulnerable. He's a freshman representative. He too defines why New Jersey is unaffordable. He was in the legislature for years, voting on every tax possible, voted on the gas tax under Governor Christie in that legislature. And Michael McGuire, former Marine, former NYPD retiree. Again, I think this is a race that's winnable if A, the NJGOP gets involved, B, independents really come out for Michael, and C, Herb Conway is another one who, again, exemplifies why New Jersey is unaffordable. he's, again, that career politician. Do you think Michael has a chance in CD3 against a guy who I would argue, again, is the most vulnerable of the 9 incumbent Democrats in the House, Kaity?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, CD3 had 2 very strong candidates in the primary. I mean, whether it was Jason Cullen or Michael McGuire who won, I do think that CD3 has a huge shot at flipping that seat. Again, you're right. I had not seen the NJGOP reach out and do things with Mike McGuire, who I spoke to yesterday. I offered to help him. I gave him my card and said, let me know where you need help. But this is what people need to do. You need to, if you meet these candidates, they're great people. We're very lucky that we have a slate of great candidates moving into November, but we need to help them and we need to help prop them up until, we get them elected in November.
It prompts the question, though, Kaity. I mean, for someone as involved as you are with such a great visibility, a great following, almost begs the question, why are we not seeing the Defender of the Republic on a ballot somewhere?
Not there yet. I'm not there yet. I mean, listen, I have 2 small children, and a full-time job, and everything that I do as Defender of the Republic, I do as a volunteer. So if I were to run for a position, I would want to dedicate 110% of my efforts into it. Maybe in the future, it may happen.
Well, you're still very young, so I think you have that advantage in front of you. Kaity, before I let you go, again, you've been a great wealth of information today. Again, obviously, folks, if you just joined us right now, like, comment, and share today's episode with Kaity, Defender of the Republic. Again, you can follow her on X, of course, also on Instagram, as well as on Facebook and TikTok too, right? I mean, I think you're on TikTok.
A little bit. They don't like me.
Cool. Again, please like, comment, and share, folks. It helps show grow and show your support for fearless independent media here with Jersey First TV. Kaity, again, it's already July, the summer months. People aren't really paying attention to politics. I mean, not for people like you and I, we're political junkies. We're always following what's going on. But certainly as the fall will be here before you know it, right? The leaves will change, the NFL returns, baseball playoffs, whatever. We also will be seeing the NJGOP summit that usually is every February or March in Atlantic City, but they moved it to September, obviously with the election of a new chair and Christine Hanlon, who's going to be back on the show later on this summer. So I'm looking forward to talking to her about these races as well. But coming up in September, we'll see this annual event in Atlantic City, the GOP summit. And I don't want to sound mean. I mean, the workshops and the panel discussions are great. But I think the reason people go, obviously, at night, the mixers, the parties, again, I mean, I hate to say this out loud, but it almost becomes like hookup central down there in Atlantic City.
Oh, God.
That's what it is. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know this for a fact, having gone to plenty in my day. But the bottom line is, what we started the program talking about this, but when it comes to summits like this coming up in the fall in Atlantic City, it's not just about the panelists, right? Like, listen, it's great to have Matt Rooney, a friend of the show here, who's a wealth of information. Some other elected officials like State Senator Michael Testa, Assemblywoman Dawn Fantasia, Declan O'Scanlan, you name it. A lot of great Republican elected officials here and some candidates, some other influencers. But I still think something more is missing. Does it have to be more bombastic when it comes to these sort of events for Republicans in New Jersey? Or is it just sticking to the message of limited government, reduced spending, just fighting back against socialist policies, far left policies, progressives? What else needs to be sort of espoused at this upcoming conference, in your opinion?
I think these events, I mean, having them in Atlantic City is part of the problem, but they're important. If you can show up to these and have discussions with people that are in a position to do something, it's important because we have to give them that influence, those discussions, the things that are hurting us, the direction that we need them to take comes from people like us who are affected by it. So I think it is important to go to them when we can. I like to be in front of these people to have those discussions and hold them accountable. But they do need to do more than just these one-time things in Atlantic City. They do need to, be more passionate about getting involved locally everywhere that they are and having more discussions with people who can't make it to events like that. So, a lot of those discussions I continue to have with these people. So we'll see what they do with it.
Before I let you go, quick lightning round, because we've talked to Kaity, the Defender of the Republic, the Crusader, the influencer, the commentator. But let's just get to know Kaity, the Jersey girl. So quick lightning round here. We know you're a mom, but in the household, DC or Marvel movies?
Oh, definitely Marvel.
Okay. Favorite Marvel character and why?
Oh, for me, it's always been the Hulk. And I don't know. I just love like how the Hulk transforms and becomes this incredibly strong person. So I've always been a Hulk fan.
And you know what's interesting? I was just reading an article today as I was prepping for the show that unfortunately, due to licensing rights, like the Hulk can be in the MCU, but there can never be another standalone Hulk movie because Universal owns the rights. So you'll see, like, again, coming up next month in the latest Spider-Man, you'll see Mark Ruffalo reprise his role as Dr. Bruce Banner, but can't get a standalone movie. So it's interesting. We've seen very different Hulks, Eric Bana and Norton, and now obviously for more than 12 years, we've seen Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. Rumor has it that we're getting away from Professor Hulk and back to sort of the brute strength Hulk in the latest Spider-Man movie. So I think that's a good change. I think to get the Hulk back to like his roots, right?
Yeah, I would love that.
Now, I hate to put you on the spot here, but favorite cuisine and restaurant?
Oh, that's a tough one. Favorite cuisine though, I will tell you, my friends know this about me. I eat like a child. So my favorite thing to eat is like bagels and French fries and chicken fingers. So I'm probably the worst person to ask, but I do happen to live very close to this little tiny restaurant called Espo's in Raritan that's renowned for their Italian food. And you look at it, it's like a house, but everyone loves that place.
Okay. Favorite American president and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. Favorite American president. There's so many that I love, but I would say outside of Donald Trump, because he is currently president, I would say that it had to be JFK. I mean, I think we should have had more time from him. All the things that he was looking to do is very similar to what Donald Trump is trying to do. And I think that if Democrats saw that side of Donald Trump, they would love him, because the Kennedy era of Democrats was amazing, and changing the way government works and the way the systems work, and, you know, K Street's involvement in our politics, getting rid of that. Those are the types of things that JFK wanted to do that I wish he could have.
Just getting back to the lightning round, I know you gave your answers. My answer is Tony Stark. Big fan of Tony Stark. You know, a little arrogant, but, you know, a hell of a guy who was selfless, and at the end of the day, made the ultimate sacrifice, right? To save the universe. And nice to see Robert Downey Jr. return this winter as Dr. Victor Von Doom in Avengers Doomsday. It'll be very interesting since it's a different universe, obviously, where you know, this character is originating from. And big Cuban. My mom's Cuban, my dad's Colombian, but you give me any Cuban sandwich and any Cuban restaurant, I'm down for that for sure. My favorite president is Ronald Reagan. I had the chance to speak in February at the Middlesex County Republican Women's Club, and they asked me to be a speaker there to speak on, you know, obviously there are a lot of Reagan birthday celebrations during the month of February. I look back, I mean, I was still very young. I don't remember a lot of Reagan, but just reading about his 8 years and, you know, ending the Soviet Union and everything else. I mean, it was just a very commendable presidency, and certainly a guy that we look back on with fondness. Least favorite American president, Kaity, and why?
That would be Barack Obama.
Okay,
and it's because I lived through. Yeah, it's because I lived through the corruption. I was swayed by his charisma. I thought he was wonderful until I looked at some of the things he was doing, and he created this divisive culture that we're living in. And it's gonna take us a long time to get out of it.
I agree with you. I think irreparable damage was done, almost irreparable damage. And obviously, when you saw a third Barack Obama presidency during the Joe Biden years, right? Even if he was awake, should startle everybody. So we'll see, obviously, where the Democrat Party turns. Kaity, before I let you go, you've been a great guest today. I really appreciate your time. We've talked about a lot today. What can we look forward to in the summer and fall in terms of the Defender of the Republic? You're a wealth of information on your social media with everything you put out there. But are there any events, any meet and greets? Like, what are you looking to do in the summer and fall coming up here in 2026?
Absolutely. So I'm actually going to spend a week in DC next week for not just the America 250 festivities, but I'm going to be speaking with a lot of people in DC. I'm going to a Feds for Freedom event on Wednesday. You know, there are a lot of congressmen that I've made friends with out there. So getting involved in that level and trying to ask people in DC to help us here in New Jersey is what we need to do. I'm also planning on doing a lot more with Wake Up New Jersey, who you guys might know. He's amazing. His name's
Michael's amazing. Yeah, Michael Archon, amazing guy.
Yes. So he and I recently went to an event that was for, people that have a big social media presence in New Jersey who are political leaning, getting involved in a way to help the candidates. So we're going to probably do more meet and greets with the public to try to get more people to understand like kind of who the candidates are, what the issues are in New Jersey. So look out for that upcoming.
Well, you're busy. You're a mom. You're a patriot. You're a crusader. I want to thank you for your time, Kaity. Again, you're a wealth of information, and you're out there fighting for a lot of us that maybe don't want to fight. And whether it's what you're doing as a commentator and influencer, it's what I'm trying to do as independent media. Conservatives like us have to keep fighting and keep getting the message out there because it's cracking through. I mean, it's penetrating for some people. And I think that, over the weekend at the event down in Camden County with the, New Jersey Federation of Republican Women, it's not just women, but Republican men and families. If they're out there, like you said, voting, encouraging neighbors to vote, educating the public with using their social media responsibly, we can make a dent. I mean, we can't turn New Jersey red again. It's going to take some time, but I know with crusaders and patriots like you, the light is at the end of the tunnel. So I appreciate your time today here. And quite frankly, thank you for being a fan of this show and my brand of journalism. And again, enjoy DC. Happy birthday to our United States coming up next weekend. And again, keep up the great work. And we'll see you again soon here on Real Talk on Jersey First TV.
Thank you, Fernando.
Take care. Folks, good stuff there with Kaity-Defender of the Republic. Again, make sure you follow her on Instagram and X, also on Facebook. She does some stuff on TikTok. And folks, if you want to get educated what's going on in our political climate, you want to do that with Kaity. And certainly, these are the type of guests, folks, that makes me different than anybody else in New Jersey media, whether it's established or independent, because we're talking about the issues that matter most to you, not the woke bullshit, not about pronouns, not about identity hysteria. No, folks, it's about the things that matter to us because we live here in New Jersey. We're concerned about our pockets. We're concerned about how we make money, how we can save money, how we're obviously trying to build a better life for ourselves and our families. And, she raises a lot of great points about the fact that we have to keep out there fighting, have to keep out there trying to raise awareness about how irresponsible a lot of these blue policies are here in New Jersey, whether it's defending illegals, whether it is inflating the state budget. Folks, the Defender of the Republic is the best example right now in our political climate about using your platform, using it responsibly, and using it in a way that gets across to people. Okay, it's all organic. There's no boosted ads, just like on this show. Folks, it's all organic. It's all transparent and authentic. And that's why people like Kaity and others are resonating with New Jersey residents. And she mentioned it correctly, too. Michael Archon, the co-founder of Wake Up NJ. If you don't follow those pages, folks, what are you waiting for? Follow them on X, follow them on Instagram, and check out all the great content that they put out there because that's what they do. They put content out there that matters to everyone, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. As she mentioned, it doesn't matter if it's an R or a D next to your name. We're all New Jerseyans. We're all homeowners and taxpayers, and we should be livid about how our tax dollars are being used. And quite frankly, it should piss us off. It should get us mobilized. And I hope that episodes like this, ladies and gentlemen, will energize you at home to contact your legislators, whether at the federal level or at the state level, and demand some transparency. Why is our budget so big? Why are we spending on some of these nonprofits here in New Jersey that I talk about all the time to fund left-wing ideology, to fund identity hysterics in our public schools? We should demand more transparency and, again, some sort of, generic and organic responses from our elected officials because we're paying them. Remember, they serve us. We don't serve them. We have to stay on them and demand transparency in a time where, again, the state budget, as I mentioned before, is getting as big as the old, Victoria's Secret models when Victoria's Secret used to be woke, right? We should want more transparency, not just out of Trenton, but also out of Washington. I don't think it's a lot to ask for. So once again, A special thank you to Kaity-Defender of the Republic. Great page that she has, great content, and a great communicator. Our guest today here on Real Talk. Folks, again, if you just joined us, again, like, comment, and share. That's all it takes here on the program. A few seconds of your time, and you show your support for fearless independent journalism. Folks, don't be swayed by some of these imitators out there. No, folks. It's here on this show. It's real conversations with real traffic because it's Real Talk here on Jersey First TV. Folks, I know it's what you like during the show. It's time for final thoughts. But on that note, again, as a reminder, Real Talk is sponsored by Duran Entities here in Hudson and Bergen counties, a great local group of establishments. Again, Real Talk is proud to partner with Duran Entities.
Duran Entities has now joined Real Talk with Fernando Uribe and Fernando Uribe Media. Enjoy delicious food, excellent watch parties, and a wonderful atmosphere at any of our 3 incredible restaurants. Son Cubano, located at 40-4 Riverwalk Place in West New York, New Jersey. Ventanas at the Modern, located at 200 Park Avenue in Fort Lee, New Jersey. And Solas, located at 25 River Drive South in downtown Jersey City. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you there.
Once again, folks, yes, Duran Entities is proud to partner with Real Talk, proud sponsors here on Jersey First TV. Yes, folks, as I mentioned, it's time for final thoughts. And yes, it's budget season. We're pretty much outraged about what's going on in Trenton. But here locally in Hudson County, we have 2 municipalities that really, get my attention all the time and get my blood boiling. And of course, as I mentioned before, there's no shortage of bad actors in New Jersey, whether it's in establishment media, right? We have useless journalists like Matt Friedman, who's too busy, smoking weed to really work a full week, right? I hear he's on vacation this week. Wow, what a surprise. Matt Friedman on vacation? Wow, geez, who'd have thought? But of course, other useless journalists we know of, obviously Alan Steinberg and Tom Moran, John Van Vliet, Charles Stile, Max Pizarro, David Cruz. Yes, we all know that they're doing us an incredible disservice, but what else is new when it comes to the establishment media here in New Jersey, as well as other activists, as you can see there, Amy Torres, Patty Campos Medina, Nettie Marcy, Lauren Albrecht, Caleb Burrell. Folks, you know there's no shortage of them here in New Jersey. Okay? Useless government employees like Joe Amaditas over there at Woke State University in Montclair, Maria Rodriguez. You get the picture, folks. Okay. But one of the more egregious examples about budget season and how disingenuous some people are, really it boils down to our elected officials. And, what comes to mind here locally, right down the road from me in the Mile Square City, I think about Hoboken. I think about what's gone on there. As the Hoboken City Council voted to approve a $162.7 million budget with an 11.5% tax increase. I don't know about you folks, that should make you live it if you live in the Mile Square City. And as someone like me who's grown up here in northern Hudson County, I visit Hoboken regularly, and I've seen what's happened to Hoboken. I've seen how developers have just taken over that city and made it unaffordable for lifelong residents. But not just that, but the spending at City Hall on Washington Street in the last few years. Obviously, we saw that under Mayor Ravi Bala. Now, again, his successor, Emily Jabor, who promised to run on this platform of transparency and affordability. Well, the problem is, though, folks, that the reason Hoboken's been unaffordable is because of voting on past budgets, where the current mayor was complicit in that. But in addition to that as well, who else has been complicit there in Hoboken? Yes, clowns like Joe Quintero. Well, again, it just infuriates me to see him wear a Columbia shirt. I get it, you're Colombian, Joe, but I'm Colombian as well. But folks, we don't own clowns like Joe Quintero. I'm sure, he's doing the usual performative bullshit, wearing it during World Cup season where this retard couldn't name 5 players on the team. He knows where the liquor cabinet is. He knows when happy hour starts in Hoboken. But if you ask him about 5 players on the Colombian national team, ese no sabe nada. Es un pendejo. But what else is new with Joe Quintero? So when you think about why Hoboken remains unaffordable, you can thank people like Joe Quintero, who for years has approved budgets that have made Hoboken unlivable and unaffordable. But don't worry about it. During the month of June, you'll see Joey, when he's not sucking down another cocktail, you'll see him in downtown, Hoboken on Washington Street, repainting the crosswalks with rainbow colors. So, Joe likes to pander during the month of June. But God forbid Hoboken hired more cops. So let's say moms with their infant children or nannies pushing kids in strollers or walking by, I don't know, maybe Church Square Park or the Hoboken shelter, don't have to worry about homeless people or other people being aggressive. But yeah, no, Joe likes the virtue signal. No te preocupe. When it comes to the month of June, we got to go to Home Depot and get all those rainbow colors there. Eso sí, but hire more cops? No. That requires too much critical thinking for un pendejo like Joe Quintero. Okay? So when he wants to walk around and say, well, we're trying to make Hoboken more affordable. No, you're not. You voted on budgets for years now that have made Hoboken unaffordable. It's not just people like Joe Quintero, folks, who are guilty. Of course, it's people like Mr. Photogenic, Phil Cohen. Well, let's be honest, folks, there's no good side to a guy when taking a picture. Like sometimes, guys and girls, we have our good side. We like to take pictures. There's no good side to this guy. But Phil Cohen's another one who A, loves the virtue signal, B, wants to insult your intelligence and say, well, no, I really care about Hoboken residents. No, you don't. You voted for every budget that's made Hoboken unaffordable. And I was fortunate enough to get a picture where I can fit Phil Cohen and his humongous nose into the frame, because that's kind of hard there when you look at Phil Cohen. Like, no angle is good there. But here's another guy, another, typical far-left progressive who wants to pontificate about how he cares about Hoboken residents. No, you don't, Phil, because all you've done is vote for budgets that have made Hoboken unaffordable. You let developers go wild. You're more concerned with the dog park. Again, listen, you know how I feel about pets. I'm very indifferent about it. But the point is that you're more concerned with, I don't know, groundbreaking on a 12th dog park. Maybe break ground on a parking deck. Maybe help alleviate the parking situation in Hoboken for residents that either move into Hoboken because they want to either work close to the city or send their kids to schools, whether it's Hoboken Public Schools or the good charter schools in Hoboken. Yes, families are struggling in Hoboken. But don't tell that to Phil Cohen. Phil Cohen would rather, virtue signal, would rather, again, like Joe Quintero, be more concerned with repainting the crosswalks during the month of June than hiring more cops. See, people like Phil Cohen and Joe Quintero care more about pronouns than property taxes and public safety. That is the state of the Hoboken Democrat Party, folks, led by these two idiots, Phil Cohen and Joe Quintero. So next time you see him, whether it's on a remote council meeting or live in person at the council chambers in Hoboken downtown on Washington Street, next time you get to the public portion of speaking, remind them whether or not they're really concerned about Hoboken being affordable. Because guess what? 4 years now, going back to Ravi Bala's awful 8 years in office there in Hoboken, all people like Joe Quintero and Phil Cohen did was rubber stamp bullshit policies. And now the chickens have come home to roost economically, socially, you name it. You can thank people like Phil Cohen and Joe Quintero for this ridiculous state of affairs in the month, really not just in the month of June, but every month, but really in the city of Hoboken. You should be ashamed of yourselves. But then again, it would take you two retards having any shame to begin with. And we all know that Phil Cohen and Joe Quintero don't have any, right? When it comes to happy hour and going to watch parties because there's liquor, Joe Quintero's there. No te preocupe, he's there waiting to suck down another cocktail, okay? As far as Phil Cohen's concerned, folks, pray you never get stuck in an elevator with Phil Cohen, okay? Pray you never get stuck there, because you know why? Because guess what's going to happen? You might die of oxygen deprivation there, because the amount of oxygen those nostrils have to ingest, you're going to lose oxygen on your own. And sure, I'm being cute and funny, but folks, on a serious note, you want to know why Hoboken government sucks for a lot of people? Look no further than Joe Quintero and Phil Cohen. Moving on to municipal budgets, obviously, folks, and certainly one that's been in the news cycle, as they say, and it's the city of Jersey City. And a shout out to Bruce Alston, the chronicler-in-chief, the publisher of the Hudson County Chronicles, for talking about what's going on in Jersey City as a 20% tax hike suggested by Mayor James Solomon was pulled last week. Now, of course, we've had members of the city council, Elena Little, Jake Efros, and Joel Brooks, who seemed to be on board with voting on it, but it was mysteriously tabled as we are still awaiting what is going to be coming from Trenton as it pertains to Jersey City. Now, folks, I've been very transparent about this. James Solomon is a guy I want to see succeed. I care about Jersey City. I visit Jersey City quite often. Okay, I was just in Jersey City on Friday night, and special thank you to Councilman Tom Zupa for his invitation to his great party at Surf City. So I care about what happens in Jersey City. I contribute to the economy in Jersey City. And on his inauguration night at White Eagle Hall, at the celebration afterwards, I talked to Mayor Solomon for a few minutes because we've had a good rapport. I've interviewed James Solomon, then council candidate Solomon, and then Councilman Solomon. So we respect each other. He may not like my views, I may not like some of his, but we respect each other. And I appreciate his transparency during this process. But folks, there's something to be alarmed about. What money's coming out of Trenton, and quite frankly, are we going to see more cuts in Jersey City? Because we need that. A 20% increase would be catastrophic to Jersey City residents, especially lifelong residents on the South Side, in the Heights, on the West Side. It's not just about the people with money, folks, that move into Journal Square or downtown Jersey City in these big, big buildings. No, folks, it's about the lifelong residents that could be crippled with a 20% increase. Now, we're going to see some increase of some kind. We don't know because the council meeting is coming up this week, and we're also going to find out what Trenton is going to give Jersey City. But again, and shout out to John Hines, the editor of the Hudson County View. Shout out to the Jersey City Times and their editor, Aaron Morrill, as well as Tap Into Jersey City, Hudson TV, as well as HUD Post. They've been covering what's going on in Jersey City. But I got to tell you, folks, if you want unfiltered, unbiased, and unafraid, I talk about that on this show, folks. That's what I'm all about. Bruce Austin's been doing that in Jersey City, talking about what's happening in Jersey City. So stay tuned this week, folks, because a number is going to get out there, whether it's 10%, 12%. But if it is indeed 20%, Jersey residents will have to make a serious decision. And whatever political capital or love affair the mayor had going into this budget season, that's quickly eroding as residents are outraged about potentially what could be a catastrophic tax increase. So stay tuned for that. The next few days, as budget season is heating up, not just in Hudson County, but here in New Jersey. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, special comment here on the program, and I've talked about it repeatedly. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, that's a theme in the month of June that I can get behind. Not woke bullshit, some other bullshit during the month of June. I don't care about that stuff. I could care less. Okay? Men's mental health is paramount. It is imperative. Okay? Some years ago, we lost an incredible talent named Avicii. And for those of us that love EDM music and love all of his songs over the years, Avicii deep down was struggling with mental health. And to this day, we miss him. But he's a symbol that men's mental health is important, not just during the month of June, but every single month. I talk about it on this show consistently. This is something I can get behind. And here's some startling numbers, folks. More than 1,400 men lose their battle every day when it comes to mental health and depression. Let's help them. If you or a loved one is struggling with their mental health, please reach out to them. Remind them that they need to stay here, that we love them here. There's plenty of resources online, folks. Please, again, help your friends get the help that they need. And during the month of June, again, when we talk about men's mental health, more than 10,000 men lose their battle every week. Folks, these statistics are startling. They should make you wonder about what's going on in our society, about the importance of men's mental health. Let's stop emasculating men. Let's stop feminizing men. Let's help men remain men. Let's give them the support that they need, because so much is asked of us to be the provider, to be the backbone, to be sort of the guy that doesn't show any emotion, to be strong, not to cry. That's all we've ever been raised with since we were little kids. But men are human. We have our bad moments. We'll struggle with being depressed or being sad or something, whether it's about our finances or our social circle or our dating prospects. Folks, these are real issues. And again, if you or a loved one is struggling with their mental health, be there for them. Remind them that you love them. Remind them that we need them here. that we want them to stay here with us, and we'll battle it together. And we'll be a resource. We'll be a lifeline. We'll be a shoulder. We'll be that comfort zone. We'll be that backbone that, you know what, they've always been for us. Let's support our men. Please, let's stop emasculating them. Let's stop feminizing them. Okay, you want to know why I despise feminists? It's because feminism has attempted to ruin American society. It attempted to feminize men and make us weak. No, let men be men. Stop your bullshit. Let's help men remain men. And during the month of June, once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to remember about men's mental health awareness. And the reason it's such an important cause to me is because my good friend, David Quisenbing, affectionately known as DQ, lost his life last month because of mental health, because of struggling with depression. And folks, if you knew David, this was a guy who was always wanting to make you smile, whether as a bartender, whether as a businessman, but as a human being. David, his smile was infectious. His smile was just appealing. His smile was heartwarming. And no matter if you had a bad day, guess what? David could sense that on you, and he'd try to make your day better. But unfortunately, during this entire time, we didn't know David was struggling with his own mental health. So during the month of June, please help get your friends the help that they need. Not just during the month of June, but every single day, every single month, every single year. Help our men. Let's be positive for them. Let's give them the help that they need and remind them that we love them, that we need them here, that we need them to stay here with us. That's what matters. So on behalf of Real Talk, again, during the month of June, something that I can get behind and something I'll continue to push. Not woke bullshit during the month of June, but a real theme. Men's mental health awareness. Now more than ever, folks, let's help our men, whether it's in our families, whether it's in our workplace, whether it's in our social circle. Again, let's show men the love that they deserve. Let's do that in David's honor, in Avicii's honor, in every single person we've lost because of men's mental health and their struggle with depression or anything else. Let's be a strong example for them because they've been strong examples for us. Let's rededicate ourselves in David's memory because he matters that much to a lot of us. Avicii, because of his music, matters a lot to us. Every single man that you know that is struggling with mental health, they matter to us. Make sure to remind them that they matter because their lives matter. Let's be there for them. Not just in the month of June, which in my opinion, again, is Men's National Mental Health Awareness Month, but every month of the year. It means that much, folks. In David's honor, in Avicii's honor, and every single man we've lost because of depression and mental health, let's rededicate ourselves and be vigilant. Help those that need help. Let's do that in all of their memories. That's my special comment. Folks, on the show for this week, once again, I want to thank Kaity, the Defender of the Republic, for a wonderful appearance today, really breaking down New Jersey politics and our climate. I cannot thank her enough. And quite frankly, folks, I can't thank you enough for making this a part of your Monday night broadcast. As always, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and X. Of course, subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the subscribe button, and you'll be automatically notified of all the great content we bring you here at Jersey First TV, whether it's Real Talk every Monday, check your local listings for start times, of course, Bridging the Gap, which premieres every Thursday via Jersey First TV. Of course, whether you're listening to your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and take us with you, whether you're going to the beach, whether it's Tiki, whether it's Donovan's, whether you're doing some food shopping, walking your pets, maybe taking your kids for a walk in the park, whatever. I'm pretty sure you have your smartphone. Take Jersey First with you everywhere and anywhere. Folks, I can't say enough here what a privilege it is to be here with Jersey First TV, educating and advocating for the residents here in the great state of New Jersey. We do it every week here, folks, on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. And again, I want to thank all of you that continue to make this show a success as we celebrate 6 years and counting here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. Folks, I can't say it enough. It's because of all of you that make this show unique and make it successful. And once again, folks, this week's edition of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe is brought to you by Duran Entities, who is now proud to partner with Real Talk via Jersey First TV and Fernando Uribe Media. Folks, Son Cubano, Ventanas at the Modern, Solas in Jersey City. 3 incredible venues, 3 incredible establishments, 3 great vibes, and much more. That's what we bring you with Duran Entities, our sponsors here on Jersey First TV and Real Talk with Fernando Uribe.
Duran Entities has now joined Real Talk with Fernando Uribe and Fernando Uribe Media. Enjoy delicious food, excellent watch parties, and a wonderful atmosphere at any of our 3 incredible restaurants. Son Cubano, located at 40-4 Riverwalk Place in West New York, New Jersey. Ventanas at the Modern, located at 200 Park Avenue in Fort Lee, New Jersey. And Solas, located at 25 River Drive South in downtown Jersey City. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you there.
Once again, folks, incredible cuisine, incredible crowds, incredible vibes, everything you could ask for. Folks, we get it with Duran Entities at Son Cubano in West New York, New Jersey, at Ventanas at the Modern in Fort Lee, New Jersey, and Solas in downtown Jersey City, New Jersey. Please visit them today. Great menus, great food, great atmospheres, great crowds, something for everybody with Duran Entities. Our sponsors here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. Once again, folks, that's our show for this week. Once again, I want to thank Kaity-Defender of the Republic, great political commentator and influencer, for her wealth of knowledge today on the program. And again, folks, I can't say enough. We bring you the guests that matter in our political climate because, again, folks, unlike these little Mickey Mouse journalists with little Mickey Mouse podcasts and their Mickey Mouse traffic, there's nothing Mickey Mouse here, folks. It's real conversations with real guests, with real traffic, because it's Real Talk. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am the generational talent in Garden State Media and your leader for trustworthy opinion journalism. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe, still rocking the orange here because it is New York versus everybody. It's a New York Knicks summer here on Real Talk. We'll be rocking the orange and blue all throughout the summer to celebrate the New York Knicks winning their 3rd NBA championship for the first time in 53 years. Folks, if anything can unite our area, it's our love for basketball and for the New York Knicks. It's New York versus everybody, folks. It's New York or nowhere. Same here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Once again, folks, I am Fernando Uribe. Please party responsibly. Enjoy the 4th of July, again, with your friends and loved ones. And we'll see you next week here, folks, for the best 60-plus minutes of the best analysis and commentary about everything going on in New Jersey politics, folks. That's right. It's Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Jersey First TV. Folks, again, thanks for stopping by. Happy birthday to our United States, the greatest country in the world, 250 years and counting. Let's celebrate with pride. Let's remember the privilege we have of living here, folks, the greatest country in the world. I never forget it, and hopefully neither do you. Happy birthday, America, and we'll see you next week here on Jersey First TV.